Guys, welcome to another Talks show. Hope you're well. Today we are privileged to have the legendary Willie Coppen in the house. He's going to talk to us a bit about his experience on Return of the Jedi and some other bits and bobs he's been involved in. So how you doing, my friend?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just cracking on with everything. So first question, I mean, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show because
my pleasure.
All the celebrities we've got coming on the show and actors we've got coming on the show. For someone to come on a show that's been in a movie that's a worldwide phenomenon is unreal. It's unprecedented. So how did it all begin with Return of the Jedi?
Well, I was working in a car spare shop on the outskirts of Derby when I was about 19 years old, and one of our customers phoned us up, and is a regular customer, and he said, Willie, they're looking for, there's just been an appeal on the radio station, they're looking for people like you for the next Star Wars film. So I thought, oh, that sounds good. So through the radio station, I got the agent's phone number, phoned him up and explained that I'd be interested. He said, yeah, I need to see you because I need to check that you are small, because I've had people of 5'2" phoning and saying I'm small. So I arranged to go over to Nottingham that evening to see him. And back in the early 80s, Dad's taxi service wasn't the big taxi service it is now, where kids can say, Dad, and Dads go, okay, car keys in pocket.
Yeah.
Where to now? So I phoned my dad up at work and asked him to take me over to Nottingham, which is about 14 miles away from Derby. So I said, yeah, what for? I said, oh, I might be in the next Star Wars film. Huh?
I bet he was like shocked.
He was shocked. I mean, he wasn't somebody who was into films that much. So he liked special films, but he wasn't sort of a big celebrity. Wasn't a big person to go after celebrities, but
yeah,
he'd heard of Star Wars, but it wasn't his thing. So anyway, I went over to see the agent that evening with my mum and dad, and the agent said, "Yeah, you look right. You are small, as you say."
Yeah.
And so he made arrangements for me to go down to Elstree Studios a few days later. So with Dad working at the railway, and I didn't want to be on the train going, I'm in the money.
Yeah.
Get there for them to say, sorry, but no thanks.
Yeah.
Dad came with me just to keep my mind off things so that I'd be talking about other things rather than just thinking, ka-ching.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got to the studios, asked for the lady I was told to ask for, and she came to the reception, took me off to the wardrobe, and had the tape measure around me and measuring me up, and with what they were saying, I thought, hang on, it sounds as if I've got a part in this.
Yeah.
So I had to actually say, have I got a part in this film? I said, yeah, of course you have. To them, it was a foregone conclusion. For me, I was expected to have to do some movements or do some form of audition or test. But so that's how I got it. Then over the next few months, went up and down to London for wardrobe.
So, sorry, please continue where you left off. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, went up and down to London or to Elstree Studios a few times for the next few months for wardrobe fittings. I did go down one day to try swinging on the rope, but on the day I couldn't actually do it. So they got a lovely guy over from America to do that, to swing into the village on the rope. And one of the other, and there was another British lad who did it as well.
Right.
So we went down to Elstree in January and started filming. And the Ewok scenes that I was in were the very first scenes that they filmed for Jedi.
Right.
So we're in the studio all day, really, really hot because we've got foam which is about that thick.
Wow.
Plus the fur. Underneath that, we had pajamas on, and we changed those at lunchtime and then in the evening. And when we took them off, we just went like that with the sweat.
Oh.
Rubbed the sweat out.
So how many days did it take to film? Was it just the one day or?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right.
Yeah.
And
And
you,
then,
sorry, go on.
yeah, we were in the studio, as I said, sweating everything off.
Yeah.
And came outside, and there's about that much snow.
Wow.
Enough snow to slow the traffic down and everything.
Yeah.
So one extreme to the other.
So the film was the wood scenes were filmed in Elm Street. Is that correct?
All the stuff in the village, upstairs, up in the village, up in the
Right.
trees. All the stuff that was on the ground was in in California.
Right. So did you get to interact with any of the main leads in the film? And how was that?
Yes, yeah. Mark Hamill, it was lovely. He was brilliant. He'd walk up by the room that we were all in when we were congregating, waiting to get ready, and he'd come in and chat to us.
Yeah.
I was on the set one day and behind camera and having a chat with Mark Hamill, and he was talking about when he was over here doing Empire and his baby was born.
Oh.
Then there was one day, because of the heat, a couple of us didn't feel too good, and there's one day I said to somebody, I don't feel too good. Next thing I knew, I was on the other side of the set, people rushing around getting my costume off me, and Harrison Ford was holding a fan to cool me down.
Oh my God, that's like.
The heat. I mean, a
Can't
lot of
get
the
better
ladies
than
have
that.
said, "Oh, I would have fainted again."
Yeah, I would have fainted and
I
all.
thought,
I would have just played on it, Willie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still feeling ill. Where's Carrie?
yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, we didn't realise this at the time, but it was when you read a book later or saw the film. That was the time when she was on drugs and so forth. So she didn't seem. We noticed that she didn't seem to mix with us as much as the others did. But it might be because she had got other things on her mind at the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So tell us about when you first walked on set, because it was a glorious set. It was a beautiful set.
Oh, it was, yes.
What was your like? Oh my God, this is for real. You know, this is no.
There's a lot of things going through my mind because for me, it's the first time I met a lot of other people who were my height, which average height people wouldn't understand this, but for a lot of people, when they meet another dwarf for the first time, it's a big thing. It's I'd only met a couple of other people beforehand, so to be mixing with a lot of people, and a couple of years later, my brother said I matured that year by 2 or 3 years because I knew who I was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from a personal point of view, that was brilliant. Then also, I mean, seeing the set, it was just out of this world. I mean, they spent tons and tons of money on it, and we were 40 foot up in the air. The only health and safety was the rickety fence that went around the village.
Yeah,
that stopped you. That was all that stopped you falling 40 foot to the ground. Although there was some boxes all around the floor, which was probably 6 or 7 feet high, with tarpaulin on there. So if anyone did go over, there would have been a cushion.
So it was really high then, I take it. Like the trees, the huts in the tree were very high. They weren't.
Yes, they were high.
Because I always thought, I don't know why, I always thought that when we saw you saw you guys sort of swinging from the trees and stuff like that, that the towers were miniatures. I always thought I don't know why, I always thought they were miniatures.
And we had lifts to take us up onto the set.
Wow.
So yeah.
So did you get to obviously get a chance to work with Warwick, because Warwick was wicked, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Warwick. I mean, Warwick, at the time Warwick went on, it was just another Ewok. He was probably one of the youngest ones. I can't remember if there was anybody any younger than him. There was some other children there who with the parents, and Warwick just seemed to gel, just fitted in. He did a couple of things as a young child would, so like looking into R2D2's eye.
Yeah,
and that's what he did, and that's one of and then.
So that was an accident. That scene was.
I'm not sure whether he just did that off camera one day and was seen doing it, or whether the camera was on him and he happened to do it. I don't know exactly. And then obviously, for they then asked him to become Wicket. I don't know the full story. I was told they just liked what he did, so they wrote it.
Mm.
But then another story is somebody became ill and couldn't do it. So I don't know exactly. You need to speak to Warwick about that.
Yeah. One day I'll get him on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've done some other roles in your time. Do you want to tell us other films that you've been in that you back to do?
I've done about 4 or 5 films. Neverending Story is the other most popular one I did.
Another classic. I mean, you've got these iconic films under your belt. I mean, who did you play in Neverending Story? Can you tell us a bit about that?
I was in the Ivory Tower when the main character goes up to say Fantasia.
Right.
I'm directly behind him, wearing what looked like a monk's robe and a sheepskin rug over my head, with just a hole for my face and bronze makeup. So we did that in Munich. So that was the first time I'd been abroad, first time I'd flown. So again, that was a fantastic experience.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second, your experience on Neverending Story. You was in Willow, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
and who did you play in Willow?
I was one of the villagers in Willow, and I met my previous partner on that, and who...
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, we had a daughter together who's now given me 2 lovely granddaughters.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. There's at least 5 grandchildren been born from that film now.
Oh, that's amazing.
People who met on it.
Oh, congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them, and I know one of the friends got 3.
So tell us about Neverending Story. How did that come about? Was it TP'd over from Jedi? People saw you in Jedi, and
no. Well, basically, there was, as I said earlier, there was this agent in Nottingham, and he was looking for the Ewoks, for the people to play Ewoks on behalf of a friend of his, who was an agent in near Elstree Studios.
Right.
And I happened to stay with this agent when we were filming, so I got onto his books, and he at the time was the biggest agency for dwarfs in the UK.
Right.
So a year later, he phoned me up and said, Willie, there's this filming that they're doing in Germany. Would you like to do it? So I said, yes, please.
Yeah.
So, went over to Germany to do it. So, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your experience on set. I mean, any fun stories? Any fun stories?
There was one time when we were in hair and makeup. I think it's the first day we got there, and some of the characters came out, and all those lads went, "Ooh!" Yeah. And then because these girls looked stunning.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until later that we realised that we shouldn't have done that, because they looked a lot older than they were.
Yeah.
So it was one of those cases where we've got to be careful here.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us a bit about The Amazing Willow. How did that come from the same agency? Was that sort of like
that's the same agency.
Because once again, working with Warwick.
Yes, working with Warwick. And so again, same agency. I'd had an audition earlier in the year to play one of the speaking parts, but didn't get it. But then we did about a week inside the village hut, which was in the studio at Elstree. Then a few weeks later, we went on location to Brocket Hall in Hertfordshire, which was later infamous because Lord Brocket buried his Ferraris in the grounds.
Okay.
But I didn't find any buried Ferraris, but
tell them where they are, go and get them.
Yeah, but I mean, that was good because there's loads of people there. Some people I knew already, so we'd be all day filming, then go to the pub, drinking there till 12, get back to where I was living down in Wembley at the time, get back to the house for about midnight, get up at 5 to get the 5:30 train to start all over again.
Yeah.
It's long days, but fun days.
Do you find that, obviously because of your height, you feel like you're sort of stereotyped for certain roles? Or, I mean, how do you feel? Because I know has Warwick got a charity at the moment?
Yeah, he's the president of the Little People UK charity.
Yeah, it's a fantastic charity.
Self-help group.
I will post a link in the description, guys, for that charity down below. If you can just get over there, even if you donate £5, or a couple
That'd
of
be brilliant.
that'd be fantastic. Tell us about stereotyping, because I've found, I know a lot of actors in the industry that have played iconic horror characters, like Jason, so on and so on, and they find it very difficult to get other leading roles because of what they're so good at.
Well, there is a lot of parts where it is only a dwarf that they look for. When you sort of seeing the stage, their adverts, they'll be advertising for certain characters, and it's very, very rare when you think, could that character be a dwarf? Just happen to be a dwarf. I mean, if they're looking for a guy of 55 or 57, does it have to be an average height guy, or could it be a person the same age but happens to be dwarf? But it's rare that you'd sort of see a part advertised where you think, yeah, I could apply for it, and they'll think, oh yeah. But I mean, you would always hope that something like that would happen. But
one guy, I can't remember what his name is. He was in Pixels, and he was in that other show, that big show with the dragons. The one Game of Thrones. Sorry, I can't remember his name.
Peter Dinklage.
That's the one. Fantastic. I mean, he's getting roles for everything.
Oh yes.
Now,
but his intelligence is far greater than mine.
No, don't put yourself down. You've been in Star Wars. He hasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about Return of the Jedi, because I know there's going to be a lot of people watching this that are huge fans of the franchise. Did you ever think when you was in that film X amount of years ago that it would turn out to be what it is today?
I mean, obviously at the time, because Star Wars was the biggest thing at the time, you knew that you're in a film, even though you got a small part in it, that it was going to be big and people were all over the world were going to go and see it. I never imagined that 40 years later, I'd still be talking to people like yourself, go to the Comic-Cons, sometimes earning more at the Comic-Cons than I earned in a week on the film.
But it's crazy, because you say, it was a small role, but if I was to turn around and do a poll and say, mention a character from Return of the Jedi, I think, personally, I might actually do a poll on this. Most people would say, first thing they would say is Ewok.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So from a small role, as you say, has become probably the most iconic roles in film history. So how do you feel? I mean, that must just...
I'm very, very proud of it.
Blow your mind.
I started obviously right at the top. I mean, you couldn't get any higher than any of the Star Wars films. So, I mean, it's a brilliant privilege to be, thankfully, in the right place at the right time to do it. And my bosses, the people who owned the shop I was working in at the time, granted me the time off work to do that. Unfortunately, they couldn't. About halfway through the second week, they said, "Can anyone stay on to play the Jawas?" So I phoned up work, and unfortunately, my boss said, "Can't really, Willie. We need you back."
I would have walked.
No, later on, they were very, very, very kind to me. So it would have been, I would have been shooting myself in the foot.
Sure. So did you ever get, apart from the Jawas, did you ever get any offers for the other Star Wars films, like Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones? Did you ever get any offers for them? Or
after about 1989, I had about 25 years out of the business,
right?
Because of marriage and kids and mortgage and everything. So it was only about 2 years ago that I've come back into the business.
Right.
So when they started making the new Star Wars films, I was out of it.
Yeah.
So I think they have made one last year, was it? They did one, or was it the year before?
Last year or the year before, that was a Skywalker one, wasn't it? The last one.
Yeah, I did speak to one of the agents to say, is there anything coming up? But unfortunately, there wasn't anything for me.
Oh,
but you never know with this
you've got
thing.
Mandalorian going on at the moment. You never know.
Yeah, you never know with they've just announced that they're going to be making a lot more films, so hopefully they'll make them A, over here, and B, they'll need this ugly mug.
Yeah. Can you tell us about some other stuff you worked in and your experiences on that?
Well, obviously Willow was great. We did it in all sorts of weather. There's some days when because we had to run the scene where the dogs were coming into the village to chase us. Yeah. We had to run up and down through the village, and that got very, very muddy. Yeah. It had been a wet day.
Yeah.
So about 200 people running up a patch of ground, which was wet. Got a bit hair raising.
I bet food slipped up.
Yeah. I did a Ken Russell film called Salome's Last Dance, which really in those days it's classed as 18, but nowadays I think it would only be classed as a 15.
Right.
I played a Jewish rabbi, and it's a religious play set in a brothel.
Right, nice.
So for the 4 weeks that we were filming, there's 3 young ladies whose costumes didn't have much on top. That's some bronze makeup.
Yeah.
But that was nice. Glenda Jackson was on that, and Stratford Johns.
Wow.
And that was brilliant. Cause there's one day also we'd come back from lunch, and the message went around very quickly. We better all just no messing around. Let's get on with it today.
Sure.
Ken's had a couple of bottles of champagne at lunchtime, so he's not in a good mood.
Yeah, he's wasted.
He could easily go boom.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So go on, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, I did the BBC series Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh wow.
Which was shown in the early 80s. Not the film.
No, I know the one you're talking about, because that was my favourite versions of Narnia, and then they released the movie, didn't they? No, I loved the original one. Who did you play in that? Tell us a bit about that.
Black Dwarf in Tales of the Silver Chair, I think it was. I can't remember which order it was. And then the very last series, I was a squirrel, which was really good. So
when someone says to you, Mr. Coppen, would you like to play a squirrel? What do you say to that?
Yes, please. So that's the first time. That was only the second time I'd had to have a full head cast. So they put me in plaster from here upwards.
Really?
So just had 2 little straws for my nose to breathe through.
Wow.
So they got me fully cast. The cast was setting. Then all the makeup ladies said, "Oh, bye, Willie, we're going now." So I just went.
I mean, you played a lot of roles where you've had to been in really heavy makeup.
Yeah.
Do you mind it, or is it something that you could do without? Do you think it brings out your performance better?
Oh, it brings out it's for the character. It brings out the character better. Sometimes if you like on Willow, thankfully, all I had to have was a beard glued onto me.
Right.
But at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, when you're in a tent on location, it's really cold, and they're sort of sticking glue to you.
Yeah. Where was that filmed? Was that
at Brocket Hall? The village scenes, all the village scenes for Willow at Brocket Hall in Hertfordshire.
Right.
Near Welwyn Garden City.
Right.
But then last year I did another film, and I had to have a full head cast. And on the day is a very low budget film, brilliant film, which I'm hoping will come out pretty soon.
Yeah.
They did a full mask, or head all over mask, and when they started gluing that to me, I felt very claustrophobic and almost as if I'd got a plastic bag over my head.
Really?
So they had to quickly make some adjustments to the makeup, and it turned out fine in the end, but it's the first time I'd had a full all over head.
I mean, I've had that in one of my films. I had to wear a full mask, and it was horrendous. And I said that I couldn't do that again, because I literally was holding my breath through most of the scenes. Luckily, I didn't have no dialogue in it, but I just found it so Oh my God, it's so hard work, and then you've got to push past that and bring out performance. I mean, what's your technique on that?
I think you just try to forget that it's there, and I mean the worst. Obviously on Narnia, I had the squirrel nose and a chin, so I was still able to eat and still able to talk a bit, but you couldn't sort of go yelling and shouting because you had to be careful that if you did move your mouth or face too much, all the makeup would crack and they'd have to spend ages doing it up again.
So what was your longest time in the chair, would you say, for makeup?
Probably for an advert for 7-Up that was shown in America. And that was over Christmas in 87, I think it was.
Right.
And so we had a good couple of hours in the chair in the morning.
Yeah.
But the paycheck in the end was worth it.
Yeah. How did you cope with that then? I mean, sitting in the chair for 2 hours, 3 hours is. We've got one. We're shooting a movie at the moment. I've just said, and one of our guys, he's never been in the chair before, and he's about to go in the chair for at least 3 hours. What advice would you give to him? His name's Paul, by the way. What advice would you give to our Paul about sitting in the chair and getting this done?
Be friendly with the makeup artists. Have a laugh and a joke with them. Relax. You get there, you just think, right, do your bit, and you chat to them whilst they're doing it. Because if you're just sitting there going, "What are they doing?" It's going to feel like ages.
Yeah,
and it's going to feel like a long time for them. And so, just chat to the makeup artists who are doing it on. Have a laugh and a joke with them, because that relaxes you, relaxes them, and just hope it's a nice warm makeup room.
Yeah, it is. We've been there before. We've been to the VFX house before, and it's lovely. But yeah, I want to sort of build his confidence. I know he's cool with it, and we've got an amazing artist working on him. But yeah, a bit of advice from you to him.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a treat for him. So let's go back to Willow. Any experiences with Val? Did you have? I mean,
I didn't see Val because we just did the village scene.
Right.
The bits that Val Kilmer was in, I think, were outside the village. Can't remember it, and coming into the village now.
Right.
So we never really saw him. We obviously saw Ron Howard and briefly spoke to him. I remember having a conversation, just a brief chat with George Lucas and.
Oh, tell us about that. That must have been, oh my God.
Well,
life-changing experiences. I mean, experiences you never forget. George Lucas doesn't get better than that.
No, it's just my boss, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Oh, it's just my boss. My boss is only George Lucas. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to treat people like that. It's just your boss. Rather than go, oh.
Yeah, starstruck.
Yeah.
Because
then you can have a proper conversation with them. I was asking him when Willow's going to be out, and I actually at the time I remember I didn't know what the fall was in America or what it meant. So he said, "Oh, it'll be out in the fall in America." And I said, "When's that?"
Yeah.
That's that now, but
or is it going to fall over something before it comes out? So you're in. You've done a bit of pantomime as well, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a bit.
I should have been in Liverpool now.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
It's taken a hit. The theatre world has taken a massive hit.
Dreadful.
Tell us a bit about that. I mean, what you are? Is it Snow White that you're in?
Yes. I've always done Snow White.
Right. I need to ask you something now. Did you ever do Catford?
No.
Not Catford. Sorry, not Catford. Croydon, Fairfield Halls.
No.
Because we went to see a wonderful performance of Snow White in Fairfield Halls in Croydon, South East London. Right, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I swear, I think to myself, have I seen Willie in this performance? So tell us, sorry, I'm just, tell us a bit about the pantomime and what's happening in the theatre world today, because it's pretty bizarre.
There's only very, very few theatres who are doing a show. Most of them, or a lot of them, have been put on by Kudos in the bigger theatres so that they can socially distance everybody. Where I was going to be, they wouldn't have been able to socially distance because it was one of the smallest theatres in the country. It was the Ep4 Theatre in Liverpool. So, unfortunately, with Snow White being one of the biggest casts, pantos, is one of the ones that they had to drop first. Right. So, hopefully we'll be back next year, but we don't know.
Yeah, it's really, really sad.
Yeah.
We need to do a lot more.
Last Christmas I was in Rill and had a fantastic time there with Sue Holness and Andrew Agnew.
Right.
The difference. Andrew's name. A, he was the director, and B, he was the dicks as me.
The difference you find in performing on screen to performing on stage. What do you prefer? Because I hear a lot of actors, they say, listen, if you haven't performed on stage, you have to, because it's a massive learning curve and it will help you into film. What do you think?
You get the reaction straight away from the audience when you're working on stage, and you've got to get it right. You only got one chance to get it right. So if you're doing a film, you'll do the same scene half a dozen times, if not more. You can spend the whole day doing one 30-second scene. So you'll be repeating it from this angle, that angle, that angle.
Yeah.
And then have the camera behind you and doing it again. So with a film, if you have got a speaking part, there's always chances of, if you do fluff it, you can go back. If you fluff your lines or forget your lines in panto.
But it must be a lot more nerve-wracking.
Away with it a bit, but there are certain lines you can't get away with.
But being on stage must be nerve-wracking.
First few times, yes. But I mean, last season I had a fantastic time. The show was brilliantly directed by Andrew, and I had a fantastic cast. And we all got on really nice, and the digs were brilliant as well.
Brilliant. So I've got some surefire questions for you.
Okay,
here we go. Favorite movie?
Mrs. Doubtfire, I think.
Oh, what a corker! And why is that? Is it because it's a makeup film, or
because of the character, what the character went through to keep with the children, and also I did actually, for George, my son's 18th birthday party, as a fancy dress, and I did go as Mrs. Doubtfire.
I would have loved to have seen that.
I'll show you the photos one day.
Yeah, please. Where you'll have to ping them over. Favorite director?
Favorite director? Always the current one, or always the last one. Yeah. Andrew, as I said, was a lovely guy, lovely director. Got the best out of you. Didn't sort of nag if you got it wrong, but it was firm and fair. So, but I mean, there's lots of people who are really, really good.
And if you could, final question, if you could be in any movie or any TV show, why would you? What is it, and why would you want to do that? Why would you want to be in it?
I would like. I can't think of a particular film. I mean, Emmerdale might be, because we do like watching Emmerdale. But I would like to do some motion capture work. I've only done one piece of that. So I would like to do a bit more of that, and then see how things go. But at the moment, I'd like any work.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that off camera in a second. I've got something for you, so we'll have a chat with you about that. So, Mr. Coppen, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
We applaud you for Return of the Jedi and everything you've done for the fan base of Star Wars. Keep up the great work. We love you very much. Is there any shout-outs you would like to do? Or
I just hope that everybody's staying safe and everybody's staying well. Hopefully, as I said earlier, 2021 will be far better than 2020. I know there are vastly different opinions about taking the the vaccine when it comes available, but if you can take it, then you're safe and people around you are safe. But obviously, we have to understand if people don't want it. It is one of those Marmite ones. You either like it or you don't like it.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so
everyone,
much.
Please stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the show. Mr. Coppen, we love you very much. And as always, guys, this is the final. This was actually the Christmas special. So this is the final show of the series. We'll be back for series 2 in the new year. So for myself and Mr. Coppen, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, we'll definitely catch you in the next video. So, ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.